Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We're here today with Rex. Rex is my co host, and we're going to talk about things that we're curious about. The other day, I saw an article that had a subtitle of After 65, you only have one healthy birthday, which I think is an interesting concept. The question is, in my mind, is what is a healthy birthday?
That is, well, I guess if you're doctor free and not under meds, that I would consider that as healthy.
Right.
But
Yeah, I consider that healthy as well. I have to say though, I am on meds for high blood pressure, that's
as
been
I am,
but that's as much as I've got, which is good. So you could say pre 65 was I had unhealthy birthdays if you want to consider that unhealthy. I get from the sun, I have sunspots that are precancerous and I get those removed. Is that considered unhealthy?
mm, well, as long as you're taking care of it, to me, you're living a healthy life if you're taking care of it.
That's what I think too. So, what is unhealthy?
These people with COPD, with oxygen tanks,
Uh,
I don't know how to say it, but I guess they're treating it, but
they're
I
treating
don't
it,
know.
but
They're not healthy.
they're not healthy. So now,
So
can we categorize healthy as like I'm packing for a trip today and I have to pack my high blood pressure medicine? And if I don't have my high blood pressure medicine, I'm not doing well. Is that unhealthy?
good question.
Because I packed extra, right? Actually, I just packed the whole bottle because it has my prescription on it. So,
Right.
but is that unhealthy? That's
No.
that now many people have COPD, many people have many people have high blood pressure, that kind of thing.
Right.
So it's managed by meds. So then would high cholesterol be considered unhealthy?
Yeah. I would venture to say so, yeah.
Yeah. So
All
is
goes back to what we're eating.
well actually in my case it goes back to my inherited liver.
That's true. A lot of people, yeah, you're right.
And my high blood pressure is inherited as well. So, are inherited traits considered unhealthy? Well, that's a question.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that to me is just fascinating. What I consider unhealthy, if I'm going to think about 65 and older, is high blood pressure can be before 65, COPD can be before 65, high cholesterol can be before 65. The
Right.
question is COPD inherited? Can it be inherited or
No,
yeah, I didn't think so. It's from smoking?
smoking. Yeah. It's
Okay.
like a precursor to lung cancer, basically.
Okay. All right. There's a distinction. We'll get to that in a second. But there's a guy I know who has type 2
Oh,
diabetes.
yeah. That's
Okay.
bad.
But it's inherited.
Oh, yeah.
Now, is he considered
That's
health?
even worse.
Yes. Yes. He had no chance. He had no chance. I mean, I think he developed it over time, but he had no chance not to. So is he
Yes.
unhealthy? I think the answer to that is yes, even though it's inherited.
Right. Yeah.
So and then you think, well, high cholesterol, that's a precursor to heart failure, depending on how things go. But you can avoid it with medication, in as you were saying, eating healthy if that is not inherited. So I'm wondering what does like I'm not going to go back and read the. I'm not going to read the article at this point. I'm going to read the article, but not for the point of this conversation. But
Right.
what is considered healthy? So if we say, okay, high cholesterol and high blood pressure are two normal things that you start out life predisposed to, but it doesn't interfere with your life. Maybe that's what that means. Because
Right.
the fellow with the type 2 diabetes, he has to go to the doctor every so often, however often that is, because I don't know.
Hmm.
And he has to get checked for all the symptoms that type 2 diabetes bring on, such as tingling feet or numbness. So maybe before he developed it, he was healthy. And then after he developed it, even though it's inherited, it's unhealthy.
That's probably about right. Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
agree with you on that.
yeah, that's kind of how I see it. I know that He's doing well. He's on medications, and the medications side effects haven't taken him down. So he's leading a normal life outside of having to go to the doctor very often. So
Yeah.
maybe it's a healthy lifestyle that is considered a healthy birthday.
Yeah. Well, your friend with the type 2 diabetes has to be very careful about wounds and things like that, because once you have a cut or you rub a blister on your foot or whatever, that can get way out of hand and you end up losing your foot, and then you're cut off up to your knee. And, it's just, you have to really be careful when you have type 2 diabetes. So
That's true
sounds like he's managing.
so far.
Yeah, he sounds like he's staying on the right track, I think.
I know him as an acquaintance, so I
Yeah.
don't, of course, know like gargantuan details or anything. But based on
Right.
what he said, it sounds to me like he's doing really well considering his situation.
What he was dealt.
Yes, what he was dealt. When I had to start, well, I didn't actually, I don't take statins right now, but I'm probably going to have to start because what I have
Right.
inherited is I can't manage it with
Yeah,
500 minutes of exercise a week.
I just got put on statins after the doctor told me what a great job I was doing. I've lost 15 pounds.
And you're like,
Just keep
great.
what you're doing, but here's your statins. I'm like, what?
Well,
Just keep
congratulations.
with the weight loss is what they told me. I said, gee, thanks. Here I
Thank you
thought I
so
was
much.
being pro-healthy, and they gave them to me anyway. I'm like, dang it.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been on them for like a month now.
Yeah, I was on them for a while when I was younger, and then I improved my diet and I improved my exercise routine, that kind of thing. So I got to get off of them. Then slowly but surely it's been creeping back up, and of course I don't eat a lot of stuff with cholesterol in it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I've done what I can. I'm doing 500 minutes of exercise a week, which of course is not
Yeah.
affecting my weight at all. I still have my same weight, but that's
But just think if you weren't doing it, though,
right.
you'd
Right.
be clicking them on, baby.
I know.
It's terrible at our age, though. To even lose a pound, it takes forever.
It does. And
I used to know all these little tricks back when I was in my 20s and 30s. I could get it off. Those don't work anymore.
we're stumped. We're doomed. It's the way it is. Well,
I know. I'm just ill.
I read about a study that they did, that whomever they is, that somebody did about a new medicine that would help women prevent heart attacks. But the thing is, they only tested it on men because men, they said, their systems were more stable, so they could get better readings about the medication and this kind of stuff. Then they released the medication. They released the medication to women. And women were dying of heart attacks, and it was a stumper. And I'm like, how is that a stumper? You should have been testing it on women. And that's one of the flaws of the medical community, is that they ignore women for various reasons. Misogyny.
Yes. For example, how long did it take them to figure out that symptoms for a heart attack for a woman is totally different than a man? You know what I mean?
Yes. They didn't pay attention to that. They didn't pay attention. She died of a heart attack? Why?
She didn't have the pain radiating from her jaw, you know. They took their time on that one.
They did. They did. Oh, she died of a heart attack? That's unbelievable.
How does that even happen on a woman? You know?
Why, women don't have the same stress as men. How can that be? Oh, maybe high cholesterol? Could that be a thing?
Oh, yeah. And the cycle gets more vicious.
Oh, totally. Yes. And so the experiment, they wanted a system that was more stable, so your hormones aren't up and down every month. So we're going to test it on men because then we can see if it works. It's like, and then they're surprised because women, they had to take the medicine off of the market. I don't know what it was, and I don't care to generate interest in it, but it was definitely that was my first realization that healthcare for women is very different from healthcare for men.
Right.
And pre the Affordable Care Act, being a woman was considered a pre-existing condition. So,
Gosh.
yes, so women's health care rates were higher than men's because women had more opportunity for things to go wrong. So,
Right.
women had to pay a higher premium. So, that was part of what,
And men were already making more money than us.
oh, yeah, and still,
Yeah.
yeah, so we're paying higher premiums. Now, if we're working for a company, the premium that we paid, so a company that pays for benefits, but you pay a premium, the women were paying a higher premium there too.
Right. Yes.
So that was one of the things that the Affordable Care Act brought. I know that there's a lot of controversy about the Health Care Act, but the fact that back pre that you could get Viagra for the cost would be covered by your health care insurance
Hmm.
package, but women birth control was not.
Yeah.
And that was one of the
Crazy.
yes, well then there's the pink tax where
Hmm.
they charge tax on tampons and other feminine.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of such? I'm just
Yeah.
over it.
And then the guys just can go get Viagra. And there was a big discussion, I remember, when the Affordable Care Act was in the process of being written up and
Hmm.
everything. And the discussion was, is there any medical benefit to Viagra? And there you go. Is that considered a healthy situation if you're taking Viagra or if you are taking birth control? And when we can get into the difference in a second. But the question
Yeah.
was, is there any medical benefit? And they had the president of the National Organization of Women, I guess,
Women now. Yeah.
and she said there were no medical benefits for the pill. And I'm sitting there looking at her because I was taking it to mitigate cramps, probably brought on by
Yeah.
endometriosis,
Right.
and or some people who need to be regulated that aren't.
Right. You're
And
exactly right.
so, Affordable Care Act was trying to say that birth control should be cost the same as Viagra to the customer. So now, if you are taking one of those things for medical purposes, is that considered a healthy birthday?
Hmm.
So the question is, are any of us really healthy?
It doesn't appear that way. We as America in general are not.
Right. And so the question becomes, and this is not a question that we're going to answer, but like, are we addicted to pills? I don't think we are, like a pharmaceutical type thing, not illegal drugs, that kind of thing, but pharmaceuticals.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Somebody's making big money somewhere on it, but
Well, that's one of the things
that's
that,
another angle.
right. And that's one of the things that the Biden administration has finally managed. There's been many administrations that have tried to do this over the course of time, but has been vetoed in one way, shape, or form or another. I'm not going to get into all of
Right.
that, but
Right.
being allowing Medicare to bargain for the prices of pharmaceuticals. I don't think it's completely everything, but like insulin is cheaper now.
Thank goodness.
Yes,
I
and
felt so bad for all those people that needed it. It's like,
right.
oh my gosh.
So there's been lots of discussions about it, and I don't want to get into discussions about particular administrations, but
Well,
I'm saying right now the Biden administration is the first one that's actually succeeded at it, at
yeah.
letting it happen. And I mean letting it happen because there's been a lot of vetoes for that because people have interest in the pharmaceutical industry and want to make a lot of money.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's how the government works. But it was just nice when the price of some drugs came down that where people really needed it. I'm not one of them, but I don't care.
Yeah. I know. We're very fortunate.
Right. So now, are we healthy? That's
Well, compared to some, I'm sure we are.
right.
I
I
don't know any way to answer that one.
right?
You know.
Right? That's why when I read that subtitle of that article, I was like, I don't know what healthy really means ultimately. So I consider myself to be pretty healthy. I can stand up, I can sit down, I can get up off the floor still.
Well, a lot of us chose knowing good and well smoking was going to kill you somehow, or laying out in the sun is going to kill you somehow, yet we chose to do it.
Right.
Uh,
I went to see the dermatologist one time. This is way in the early days when I got my first precancerous thing on my face, and I didn't lay in the sun. I wasn't the one slathered in baby oil lying out there in the sun. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm wearing pants and a shirt and a hat and
Yeah.
as much as I can cover up, but I still ended up with some precancerous things on my face. I don't seem to be having them on my arms, but definitely on my face. And so the doc walks in and he says, "Well, did you use sunscreen when you were little?" And I was like, "Well, was it invented?"
Oh my gosh.
He just looked at me because he was way younger than me, and it's like, that's a good question, except for the fact that it was not invented when I was a kid. So we would get sunburned.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it was.
Only thing we had was copper tone that promoted a tan.
Copper tone here.
Remember that? The little
Yeah.
girl with the swimsuit pulled down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The
we're
dog
like,
pulling the swimsuit off. Yeah.
yeah, the dog's trying to keep her from going somewhere. And
Yeah.
but copper tone was not sunscreen.
Yeah.
It
It's
was how to,
promoted tan.
right. So let's embed the sun into your skin. Why don't we? I didn't use copper tone either. I did end up with cancer in my ear, skin cancer.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
The doc comes in and because he's going to do the skin removal to see if he can capture the skin cancer, which by the way he did.
Yeah.
But he said, "Wow, I don't think I've ever seen it here before." And I said, "Yeah, I'm special."
I have two of them. 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it could have been the other one, but instead it was this one. What
yeah.
can I say? I think maybe. Oop. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, darn. That's my notifications. It means I have to leave someday, like shortly. It's like go. You're gonna be on a plane. Start getting ready.
Oh yeah.
I still have
Well,
to pack. I didn't do that yesterday because I was busy. I'm
yeah.
so
Then aren't
busy.
you?
I had one guy come to the door to try to sell me pest control, which by the way, there's a no soliciting sign on my window, but it didn't work yesterday.
People still do that?
Yeah.
I haven't seen a solicitor here in forever.
Well, you live out in the middle of. Why would anyone go out
In
there?
nowhere.
Right. And there's 3 houses out there, if you're lucky, where you are. So really, you think I'm going to go out there and sell you solar panels to knock on 3 doors? No. So I think you that's because gas prices went up. That's why you don't see solicitors.
I gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but maybe healthy is being able to leave the house. Yeah, you have to bring some medications with you for control of some things. But beyond that, you can go to the gym. You can lift X amount of weight. I can do that. And I can do 4 sets mostly
Yeah.
of bench press. The incline press, not so much.
Right.
I don't have a spotter, so I stop at 3.5 and just call it good. I mean, like I'll stop and see if I can do more, but if it gets dangerous, I'm not dumb. Well, like smoking. If I decide to smoke, that's kind of not very wise. So is lifting weight when you can barely lift it. Not very wise. Both can cause death. So maybe it's not needing to be in the hospital. It's not needing to carry around equipment. Maybe it's not needing, well, like a person I know had to have the lower part of her leg amputated. I'm assuming she has diabetes. I don't ask, but she's trying to learn to use a prosthesis now. Maybe when she gets out of the hospital, she'll be able to manage her situation, whatever it is, and walk, and maybe then she'll be considered healthy. And she's not 65 either, so she hasn't even reached her 65th birthday. So obviously this article is not 100% accurate anyway. It's speculation, maybe.
It's an opinion.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. But I was definitely stumped by the opinion.
yeah.
Because I intend to, when I'm 65, does that mean my left arm is going to just fall off? Like, what does it mean, 65? Why pick an age of 65 and then declare that you're only going to have one healthy birthday?
But so many people, when they hit that 65, I'm retiring. I'm officially old. Let me go sit down. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think it's a lot mental. How
Yes.
you look at things. You can make yourself sick
You
if
can.
you think about it long enough.
True. Yeah, well,
But
let me sit here and think about this for. No, I'm kidding.
know.
So yeah,
I'm old. Is that why my knees hurting? No, you were on it too much yesterday. You turned it.
you're right.
Of course, I could be in denial too. That's probably the case with me.
Okay, so that begs the next question, and that is, do we ignore things because of that number? So 65 is your last
Yeah.
healthy birthday, because then you start ignoring things, and then they start, I mean, up to that point or maybe
Yeah.
beyond. We had a cat that was having trouble jumping up on the counter. And we said, oh, she's just old and has arthritis. No, come to find out, she only had half a working kidney. So she was in
Oh
pain.
man.
But she was old in
Yeah.
cat years, right? But she wasn't old. She had a bad kidney, and we ignored it because we thought it was arthritis. Of course, we ended up putting her on meds, and she ended up doing much better for many years. So we were lucky. But the thing of it was, we passed something off as old age when it really wasn't. So I think we have to be careful with our mental view on things and stop thinking of old age or 65 or putting a label on it of some kind and just say, I need to go to the doc and get that looked at. Like when I had this spot in my ear and it kept bleeding every once in a while, I went to the doc. Getting an ultrasound done, I found out that there were lumps in my breast, but, are they really going to turn into cancer? I mean, like, I'm getting older now. What's the deal?
Right.
We can do some preventative things. We can do some checking into things and finding out that they're not what we think it is. It's not old age at all. It's something that's fixable.
Some
Is
preventable.
right.
Some you're stuck with. But
Yeah, but
because your family is riddled with cancer like mine is. So I try to stay on top of things too, getting all kind of tests done and all this.
yeah, yeah, we're riddled with cancer. You are not kidding. Question is it inherited? And of course, they talk about the BRCA gene and that kind of thing. So is it inherited? I don't know.
I would say it right off the bat, the way you have it in your family and mine, surely it's a gene in our families that carrying cancer, but then you have somebody off the wall who gets cancer just out of the blue.
Right.
No history at all. And you're like, well, gosh, is it? Well, what did they do to themselves to cause that?
Right.
And then, well, I've always led a healthy life. I've done everything right. And here I end up with cancer. It's hard to say living a healthy life is not going to extend your life necessarily.
That is correct. And that's another interesting thought right there. So I found myself pondering what is 65 as well as what is healthy.
Right.
It was a very interesting, I never read the article, so I have no idea what it was about, but I stopped at the subheading and I was like, well, that's a question. And I don't really feel like the article was going to answer it necessarily. It was
right. That's the way I felt.
The name of the article, How to Die in Good Health, and the author is Drew Pooler.
The whole time he's referencing someone else in the article, if I can remember it. I read it the day that you sent it to me. And the whole article is in reference to one other guy's opinion, what I can remember.
Okay, so I don't feel like for the purposes of what we're discussing, we need to know much more about the article.
Right.
Because
exactly.
I never got to the article. I was so stumped by the question of what is a healthy birthday.
Yeah, who thinks up this stuff?
Who really cares? Well, it's our number-oriented society. Other societies that don't place an emphasis on age, and I don't know what. I know there are some, but I don't know what they are, and I'm not going to figure it out at the moment. But other societies that put more emphasis on knowledge and wisdom than age, maybe they have a philosophical idea of what it is. But here, where I live in the United States, we worry about numbers, and that's why the question was intriguing. I think that subtitle is to get you to read the article. I think for me, the conclusion that I have come to, and our discussion has not really swayed it, is that it was something, it's like a marker to point out that you're heading into the latter part of your life. And
exactly.
Keep an eye on your health, get things checked out. Don't assume it's old age, because
good point.
It might not be. I was struggling with my feet hurting. There's little bones. Did you know there's floater bones in the bottoms of your feet?
Yeah, I found that out too.
Yeah. Well, I did too. The reason that I found out was because my calves are really, really tight and it wasn't allowing my ankle to bend. So my foot at the ankle was not bending. So I was walking on peg legs. And I thought it was old age. Oh, my foot hurts. I can't sit down on the floor very well. Old age. Well, I went to the doc to find out because I had a big lump on the bottom of my foot that hurt. So I'd have to take a shoe off after a while because it's too painful. He says, "Oh, you just need to stretch." So here I am thinking I'm old and I'm going to need a cane and this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, I just needed to stretch.
Stretch.
Yeah, do wall stretch type things. And my ankles are much better. I can get down to the floor much more easily. And as I keep working on the stretching. So I passed it off as old age. And in reality, it was doing too many calf exercises at the gym, trying to stay young. So I'm going to change that from just staying young to staying healthy. We're not trying to stay young. We're not trying to stay old. We're not trying to do anything with age. We're trying to stay healthy, whatever that means.
Right.
The piece of knowledge that we can take away from this is don't assume that you're that old. Go get the doc to look at it.
Exactly.
Thank you all very much for listening. See you guys later. This has been an episode of the podcast Curiosity is Key to Knowledge. I'm your host, Julie, along with my co-host, CRex, and I hope you enjoyed today's topic.